They say opposites attract.
Well, how about these opposites? Daddies and sons.
You're listening to Daddy and Son.
A podcast where we explore the dynamics of daddy and son relationships, multi-generational views,
And everything else in between.
Well, okay. Well, welcome back.
Welcome back.
How was your week?
Well, I carried a shovel around the last 48 hours, but other than that, very good. Very busy though. How about you?
For those of you who are listening who may not know, Toronto has gone through Snowmageddon over the past couple of days.
Yes.
I mean, I thought Boxing Day was bad, but yes, it was.
We got socked.
Yes, it was really bad.
got
Like
socked.
DVP had like 9 accidents.
Well, it was closed for a while. DVP is
Like
the Don
half the
Valley
day.
Parkway. Don Valley Parkway, for those who don't know.
It's one of the
Toronto.
major highways that
Yeah.
circle around the outskirts of the city, next to the that merges with the 401, which is one of the largest highways in the world.
Yeah, biggest in North America.
Yeah,
Most traveled, yeah. I didn't know that.
it is also the most accidents, but that's a whole other
Well,
conversation.
the way Canadians drive,
that's
we do drive faster than Americans. You know that, eh?
But I don't think it necessarily has anything to do with that, in my opinion, because the Autobahn has no speed limit, and they don't have as many accidents as the 401 does. So I don't know if that has anything to do with anything, but that's me. That's me.
Well, I don't know the reason for that, but we could check into it.
But anyhow, cheers.
Cheers! I can smell this. It is.
So I made for us this week butterbeer. It's inspired by the motion picture and the book of Harry Potter. And for my butterbeer, I have used butterscotch liqueur, apple cider, some ginger bitters, and cinnamon to give that effect with a nice little foam on top. It's absolutely delicious.
As usual, you curate the most wonderful cocktails and entertainment paraphernalia.
Thank you.
Liquid and solid.
Liquid and solid. Oh, I'm still remembering Christmas. Oh, what a joy it was.
Well, yeah, and you still got your Christmas tree up with the lights on, which makes me feel, with all the snow and everything, it's still very festive.
I know, it's quite fitting.
You know, it was more snow now than we had at Christmas, right?
It's still snowing.
Yeah.
It was snowing when you came in, right? Because I looked out the window and it just looked white outside. So I couldn't tell if it was rain or snow, but I'm guessing it's snow. Because, yeah. But, whew, when I tell you, yesterday I went to go see Mrs. Doubtfire.
The new movie or the old movie?
No, the movie, the musical, the Mervish musical in West End.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, when I say West End, I'm not talking about London West End. I'm talking about Toronto West End. King Street.
Yes, well, west of downtown anyway, yeah.
It is West End.
Yeah, well, anyway, so you went to say...
What is that? Did you just glitch? What was that? What was that?
I think of it as King Street. But anyway, so how was it?
It was really good.
It's a funny plot, isn't it?
I've never seen Mrs. Doubtfire.
Oh, you're in stitches.
And Jason told me that I had to go see it. So I went to go see it. There's a little girl beside me. Couldn't be more than about 10, 11.
Oh.
And she was laughing her ass off.
Oh.
And they had a bunch of different cameos. Like they brought out Austin Powers. And she started laughing. I'm like, isn't this before your time? Like, what are you laughing at?
I didn't know you take 10-year-old girls to the theater.
God, no. I looked at her mom after the play and I'm like, wow, your daughter is... They don't make kids like the way they make us anymore, because if she gets those jokes, which are, for all intents and purposes, are, in my opinion, are very adult. Your daughter, she's going to be moving on to doing big things.
Well, you don't know what goes on at her household either.
Well, that's true too. That's true. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. And you know what else? I'm gonna see Jason again back in March for Cardi B's concert because I said
Cardi B,
I
yeah.
just said to him, listen, I don't know which of I really want to go see Cardi B. It's her first world tour, and she's coming to the Scotiabank Arena. And I said I need a friend to go with me that's ratchet as me, that knows how to misbehave in public in the right way.
Does Jason know how to misbehave in public? He seems like the epitome of propriety and
class.
business class. Yes, and he's a sweetie too.
Jason's a sweet. Jason's the type of
He's a lot of fun. I like him.
he's the type of guy who in the summer will put a boombox with the lights on it on his shoulder and ride a bicycle throughout Cherry Beach and see which of the gremlins are sneaking out of the bush in the middle of the dead of night. He's that kind of guy. I'm just joking. Oh my God, Auntie Jason, if you're listening, I apologize.
I'm learning more about you all the time, Jason.
And
And I didn't see that on your LinkedIn profile either.
and then other Jason, we are actually gonna go see the Lord of the Rings in concert, the live orchestra on Friday. So it's I like that all the Jasons in my life seems to like
They like the arts.
they like the arts.
Yeah.
And you do know that Jason Auntie used to be so he still is currently the chairman of the Fringe board. Fringe Festival.
You could educate me on what that is because Dad doesn't know the Fringe Festival.
Fringe is like the Shaw. Or it's like Stratford. It's
Well, I sure know what those are, but I've never heard the Fringe Festival. Where do they perform? Where are the
throughout the
performances?
city, different stage plays.
Okay, so it's different. I must pay more attention to the world of arts. There used to be something you would pick it up. It was called
I
Now
thought you
Magazine.
were more cultured than this, Norm.
Well, you know what? I used to read stuff that had culture, and now that it's all online, I don't see it as much. Now Magazine, do you remember that? Who of you out there remembers Now Magazine? It came out every Thursday.
I know Now TV in the UK.
Well, Now Magazine had all the arts, and it had a little bit of left-wing stuff, but it was all and it was buy and sell in there, and I mean, it was all kinds of stuff. But it was reviews of plays, summary of what was on at the theater, and a rating. It was all great stuff, and what was on at the theater as well, and it was the full arts digest in one publication, and it was free, and it was on the streets. You picked it up.
Interesting.
Yeah. And you could quickly be aware of, oh, look, that looks great. I'd love to go see that. I don't even expose myself to that kind of information anymore.
Why? You staying inside to save money at your age?
Well,
What are you saving it for?
I'm working. I'm watching sports. I'm watching public affairs and reading the stuff I'm interested in.
You told me you were under pressure. What's going on?
Oh, there's a lot of work right now.
Well, are you complaining?
Well, I could use some help, and I'm going to lose the help that I have, and it's just what happens when organizations, and you know what? This is not rare for me, don't have the resources to pay for all the people they need to do the work.
That seems to be a very common theme in your industry. Why is that?
Well, I've heard
because the money's there.
Well, I'm not sure. In this case, it's not there. That's the problem. They don't want to spend that extra money.
So, but exactly, the money is there, but they don't want to spend it.
Well, so you just decide what you can do with the limited hours that you have, right?
Interesting. Well,
you have the same issue. I mean, I heard you complain about being very busy.
Well,
sometimes.
Here's the thing about my industry, and the difference between yours and mine is your industry, the net benefit of it really is supposed to be a profit driver, right?
Ultimately, yes.
Ultimately, and most likely long term. My industry is not for profit. Let me rewind that because people hear that and think something else. My industry does not generate revenue. Cybersecurity does not generate revenue. It saves it. It saves, correct.
Yeah.
It only saves you, it doesn't pull revenue.
Well,
That's why a lot of companies don't have a cybersecurity department, because they don't. A lot of people look at my organization, 2,000 plus people, so relatively small, and think, wow, you guys have a cybersecurity, team, you have a GRC team. Because most teams that would have something like that are like a bank, like that has over like 16, over 100,000 employees across the country.
Maybe your company is just a little ahead of the curve in terms of what a lot of businesses should be investing in. Cybersecurity to me is a huge, huge potential threat.
No, it absolutely is. The cost of a breach, the minimum cost of a breach is $64 million.
And most
And
of them
that
aren't
was the
even reported.
estimate that came out of NIST, the National Institute of Technology and Security in the United States. That's what they estimated for 2025. So the 2025 roundup, they said the average cost of a breach, and that
we don't know how many breaches there are because a lot of them aren't reported.
Correct. And most breaches go unreported, specifically because the only companies that are required to report breaches are publicly traded companies that are regulated by the FEC.
And in Canada, that are publicly traded here.
Those companies, once they have a breach that is considered as material, they have 48 hours in which to report it. If you're not a publicly traded organization and the breach is not seen as material, then, and there are kind of like guidelines to determine what materiality is, but if not, then you don't have to report it. So a lot of people have to bear that in mind as well. But to put things into perspective as to the impact of a breach, even if you're a large conglomerate. Remember Target?
Yeah.
Remember that store? The one with the red dot?
I do, honey.
Okay.
I know where the one in Niagara Falls, New York is,
So you
too.
remember when I came to Canada, Target was closing up. Do you remember why they closed up?
They were a dump. They were disgusting here. They did it. The Target here did not resemble anything like a Target in New York State or in the United States.
I've never been to a Target. Like I said, I grew up in the UK, and
it looked like the old Zellers.
We don't have that in the UK.
You know what? It looked like a Cuban retail store. You went to look something and there's nothing on the shelf.
What? A Cuban retail store?
Sorry, I interrupted. Your point was you were starting to talk about Target when you came here.
The Target, Target in Canada had a great credit card breach, where over 6 million Canadian customers had their credit cards exposed.
Oh, really?
And they could not recover from the lawsuit of the Canadian government.
Their Target card? Was it a Target credit card?
No.
Just whatever credit card they used.
Whatever credit card was used on their POS system. And that's another reason why PCI audits are so important. Nowadays, even when I go somewhere and they're like, oh, we need a credit card, but we have to write it down or we have to do it over the phone. I'm like, no. You know, I gave Colston for Christmas Botox, right? As a gift. Mm-hmm. When I went to go buy his 500 units, I said, first I was trying to do it online. I couldn't do it online. Tried to do it on the phone. They said I had to give them my credit card information on the phone. I said, I'm not doing it. Went in person. They wanted me to write down my credit card information. I said, I'm not doing it. If I'm not swiping or tapping something and it's not in a secured area, I am not going to do it.
Really? Because I've given my credit card over the phone, but I can't think of, maybe to TELUS Pharmacy.
I'm sorry, for those who are listening, PCI stands for Payment Card Industry Council. They are the council that regulates, that does auditing and regulation for the security of payment cards and payment card or payment entities.
So bottom line, your recommendation is, if you're going to use your credit card, do it in where there's a terminal.
Well, even the terminal itself has to be secure, because the issue with
and
Target,
what does that mean? What does that mean, secure? Like
the Wi-Fi that they use needs to be secure.
How do you know if it is?
Well, you can always look on your phone, search on all mobile devices have a NIC on it, a network interface card, and you can always see what SSRIDs are open, and then you can see if they're secure or not. If they're open, they probably the stores terminals, their POS systems are attached to it, it probably isn't secure.
What about you go into Loblaws or a department store or retail store or restaurant or here in Toronto, for instance? Are
You
they
can
secure?
always also look online. Most of them, if they have any form of compliance, they will have the attestation on the website. As an example, if you go on Cineplex or any of those most other websites, at the bottom of the page, you can see in the trust center, you will see if they have a SOC 2 compliance or.
All right, but son, how many people, when they're going to buy something, even think about that?
Ooh, me.
You do, yeah.
Me,
well, you're a
me.
majority of one.
This is I'm a privacy nut.
Well, you are, and this is good information. I mean, this is something that this can save people a lot of hassle.
You know what? Maybe I should do a session on this.
Yeah.
A week, maybe in the coming weeks or the coming months. I will do a privacy session. I think it would be great. I think it would be greatly advantageous and useful to the listenership,
to sons and dads,
listeners, sons and dads, femmes and cis womans. If you're listening, let me know. Write us in and let us know if we should be doing a cybersecurity and privacy session in the upcoming podcast.
And the only qualification to listen is you have to be somebody who spends money.
Pretty much, which is all of us.
That's right.
In this economy. But in any case, you know what? I hate to be one of those people who are big conspiracy theorists. Speaking of, the olden days and spending, the outage with Verizon
the other day in the United States,
on Wednesday, had me thinking very closely.
We don't know why that
and her
happened.
nutty, stupid ass, she's crazy as hell. She's crazy as cat piss. But she was out here saying that it was probably an Iranian attack because the U.S. is talking about invading Iran. But
I heard it was a switch in New Jersey.
They turned off the switch.
Oh, I forgot to turn it off. What the hell?
But it had me thinking about all the things that has happened before, whether it's the outage in Spain and southern France, and
Was
Portugal.
that in the summertime?
That was last summer.
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
I'm a part of the class action right now with Rogers for the outage that happened even
4 or 5 years ago.
No, it was just 3 years ago, back in 2022.
Oh, okay.
I
remember that.
Yeah.
I was still in my last job. I remember that.
It reminded me of that as well. COVID, everything combined, all the milital.
Milital? That's a new word.
The military style invasion of states. Because let's call it what it is. It's an invasion of states. They're taking National Guards from one state or border patrol and sending them interstate. They're not at the border. They're inside the states, taking up American citizens.
Ridiculous.
Or intimidating American citizens and detaining them.
Ridiculous.
If they don't even have a passport on them. Imagine just going to the grocery store to buy groceries and you get pulled over by a cop and they're like, where's your papers? And if you don't have your papers,
It's like
if you don't
Cuba.
have your birth certificate, your passport, nothing to prove you're a citizen, you get detained.
Joe Rogan talked about this on his podcast the other day, and he drew attention to the fact that, are we becoming the Gestapo here? Mm-hmm. And, that's really significant. When he starts speaking out like that, to me, that's a sign that, hey, maybe what's going on in the States has gone far enough.
Yeah, but Joe Rogan is talking out of two sides of his mouth, because in the same exact podcast, he went on to defend ICE and saying that we need to wait for all the facts to come out, especially around the shooting, not of good but the other guy who got
Shot in the leg?
shot in the leg.
I can't keep track with all these
And
things.
for me, again, it goes back to my conspiracy mind or my analytical mind thinking that this is a part of a bigger picture. This is a part of a bigger exercise. This is a part of a bigger lead up to something. And all these little things that we see going on, whether it's COVID or these technology outages, there are people saying that they couldn't even get home because they don't know how to travel without GPS. I can't tell you how many times I've been inviting friends here to my place.
Yeah.
And I will say, just last Christmas when I had the caroling session,
Yeah.
Max got lost.
Was she
Max
driving?
has been here multiple places.
Was she driving or walking?
Driving. You know, she lives up uptown. And she was all the way down in, she was like, well, I see Parliament. I'm like, what are you doing on Parliament?
She doesn't. So people that rely on GPS don't have a.
Granted, this area has changed a lot since
Well, with the street
in the last 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it turned into a one-way. They added bike lanes.
I still can't figure out which way the street is because sometimes it's going that way and sometimes it's going this way.
It's weird, right?
Yeah.
There's always construction. Some part is blocked off. Last week we had a damn near flood on Front Street. There's always these.
What was that? Anyway?
The water main had broken. Allegedly.
So people sometimes are relying too much on technology and not their sense of direction, sense of what's reasonable.
But it's the age that we live in today, Norm. And there are a few folks I noticed online who were making fun, like, oh, I'm an elderly, I still had my landline, I could connect. And I'm like, okay, good for you, grandma, but we are literally
I still have a landline.
Offboarding landlines by the end of 2026. I don't know if you got the notification, but we are offboarding landlines by the 2026. They want you to get them jitterbugs.
They're not letting you have landlines after 2026?
No, they're offboarding them. Do the jitterbug. They want you to get them jitterbugs. Sorry, grandma, but no.
I have such a great landline phone number. I might get a cell phone and put it on that.
If you can transfer the number over, I don't see why you couldn't.
Yeah, you can. You can. I know people that have. I own the number. It's my phone. It's my name.
Okay,
anyway,
fair.
Whatever.
But
I don't need another cell phone.
I think we have put this. I don't want to say too much reliance, but
on technology.
Technology has become our life. Let me tell you, even something as simple as, over the years, I used to go to Canada's Wonderland, and I almost always would get a card. And that card is what I used to tap in, swipe through to get through the gates and all the things, pay for parking.
Okay. Like it was a kind of a day pass and it included everything? Okay.
Now, those cards are on an app. It's not a physical, they don't do physical cards anymore.
Okay, so you download the app, you you put money on the app through your credit card.
Yeah. And you scan your phone through your Apple Wallet to get in and do transactions in Canada's Wonderland. They physically do not take cash at all in Canada's Wonderland.
Yeah, a lot of places, airplanes don't take cash
If
anymore.
you're listening and you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. And my issue with that is, so if something like this should happen and you're out, what becomes the currency? Is the currency fiat or is the currency digital?
The currency is whatever you can negotiate with somebody at the time.
Because that's what I'm trying to. You get where I'm going at with this?
I mean, the point is there is no currency.
It is virtual.
Well,
it's literally a state of mind.
Well, it's inaccessible virtual when it's the network is down. Because you can't get access to it.
You can't do shit. I remember that day.
Do you agree with me?
No, I agree
Yeah,
with you
okay.
100%. I remember the day when it was down here in Canada. I couldn't even pay for parking. I spent the whole time at my medical appointment wondering if I was going to get a ticket or not.
Oh, jeez. And you need to be relaxed there, don't you?
I couldn't pay for parking.
But you got into the parking lot?
Yeah, I know. I was parked on the street.
Oh,
It was
okay.
Green P, like municipality
Oh,
parking.
you would have got that. You would have waived that. They would have waived that at court. You know,
Well, you never know with these assholes. You never know.
speaking of which, I managed to
I
beat a
once-
speeding ticket. But anyway, go ahead.
When?
Well, I got it the day I got fired 2.5 years ago.
And you,
Well, I took it down to City Hall, and I finally complained about it. I said, I'm going to fight this, blah, blah, blah. And the ladies took it, and I've never seen anything from it since.
huh.
Anyway, that's just an aside. So,
So,
you
know,
did
I
not get
remember
a ticket,
that-
I presume.
No, but I remember one day I ended up getting a ticket for parking in an area that had a weathered sign, and it was the sign was there, but it was blank. It was so weathered, there was nothing on it. It was just a blank piece of metal.
Oh, okay.
So I took a picture of it, took it to court, and the judge still said I had to pay, but they were reducing it from $50 to $30.
And the reason was?
And the reason was, even if the sign is weathered and I don't know what is there, it's my responsibility to call the city and find out what the sign is actually saying.
And
if
wait
it's-
5 days until you get someone that answers the
and
question.
I literally said to them, that's ridiculous. So now when I go somewhere and I see a sign that's weathered, I'm telling you, Norm, because of my past experience with the courts, I don't park there.
I would have said to the judge, and Judge, I'm sure the phone number to call was there, but it was weathered as well. What am I supposed to do? Anyway.
But speaking of paying for things, my main topic today
Yes, we were going to get to a topic today, weren't we?
is actually about wealth tax.
Wealth tax.
And this has been a big topic right now all over the internet. Wealth tax and UBI, it's actually trending. As if you go on to actually in Canadian Twitter and some parts of your Twitter as well, when you in the top trending topics, it's and yes, I call it Twitter still. I don't call it
Yeah,
X.
that's fine. That's okay.
Fuck Elon Musk. It's and he's gonna come up later, but I digress. A lot of the trending topics is UBI and wealth tax, and a lot of that is coming out of people wondering about the collapse of the U.S. economy and U.S. society as we know it.
Well, they're fed up with the fact that the rich are getting all these tax breaks and everybody else is struggling.
I mean, it's one beautiful bill, isn't it? So, for those of you who are listening, you may not know what a wealth tax is, or if you're not on those corners of the internet, let me tell you what a wealth tax isn't about. Because we've been seeing a lot of misinformation, even last week on Fox. The correspondents were saying how Gavin Newsom wants to introduce a wealth tax, and this is going to affect you. They want to tax you. They want to tax you. They want to tax you. And obviously, this gets the base riled up. But the issue is a lot of people don't even understand what they're talking about. When a television anchor looks at you on the television screen, I look straight at the camera, and says they want to take your money, you and you and you. They want to take your money. What does that mean? That's not what a wealth tax is. So a wealth tax isn't a tax on your income, much like a paycheck, like your annual income
Correct.
tax is. It's a yearly tax on the net worth that is above an average threshold. Granted, the wealth tax that is being proposed by the U.S. is not like the one that we see even being proposed previously by the NDP here in Canada, or even that has been institutionalized since the exit of non-dom in the UK, which we're going to talk about because that's kind of like the case study for closer to, because we have a Westminster parliamentary system.
So let me see if I can understand it. at the end of a year, you would have to report your total wealth, your savings. It might include the value of property you own, your stocks, your bonds, whatever wealth you have. Let's say it's 10 million, and then a number would be applied to that number, and you would have to pay it to the government.
Correct.
Okay, all right.
Now,
And the question would be, what's that threshold number where the tax would kick in?
that's a good question. So let me answer those questions. Net worth, it would be assets, and much like you said, property, investments, businesses, but that doesn't include your debts, right? So your debts are excluded from.
I would have a problem with that, because your net worth is what you have above ground, less what you have below ground.
Correct.
So I think that doesn't sound right to me.
Right. So, but
Do you agree, or what do you think of that? Or
no,
should
but that's what I meant. So it's your net worth.
Okay.
So it's what you have above ground less what you have below ground. That's what I meant to say.
Okay, fair enough.
So
Okay.
minus debts.
Okay.
A wealth tax might apply to a wealth, say, over 50 million and above,
That's quite generous.
right? And this is why.
That would leave a lot of rich people free of that, but it would sure nail some very rich people, wouldn't it?
Well, the point of a wealth tax is because people seem to misunderstand the difference between being rich and being wealthy. Rich, I would even dare say you are rich. No, I would say that Bezos is wealthy. The difference between rich and wealthy. Rich means you're comfortable. You can go to the grocery store, you can pick up something, and you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I would say I can do that. I wouldn't consider
can-
myself rich, but I can do what you just said.
You can. Being rich means that you can go to buy something and you put your hand in your pocket, and you'll always have the right amount of change.
But I do look at the Flip app to get the deals at the grocery store every week, so I can save
But
$1
that's how
on
you
my
stay
cream.
rich. Being wealthy is where you're filthy rich. That's a whole different category. That's not when we're talking about being wealthy, we're not talking about people who make $2, $3, $4, $5, $6, even $10 million. We're talking about wealthy. We're talking about people who are
The bridal path wealthy.
the people who technically control society from the shadows, kind of wealthy. And yes, bridal path.
Yeah, actually, that's a good way of putting it.
wealthy.
So the people that the nameless people who have assets and ownership of so many corporations, they probably don't even know what they are at any one time.
Correct.
Yeah.
To this day, I'm still learning about multi-billion-dollar corporations that exist. And they'll come up in my job, and I'll be like, I've never heard of this company. Because obviously they're not like a Google, they're not like a whatever, they're not like a big tech.
Yeah.
So I hear about this company, I'm like, they gross what, $1 billion
Yeah, and
Canadian?
they're not selling to consumers.
And they're not selling to consumers, they're B2B.
Yeah.
So you never hear about them,
yeah.
right? So if you're a common person with a savings pension, maybe a home, this does not apply to you. It doesn't mean you shouldn't be listening, and I'll tell you why you should be listening later on. Rates, these will apply about 1% to 3% when you talk about a wealth tax. So the tax would be 1% to 3%. This differs from your 25 to 40% that you would pay in, like, depends on where in the country you are. Maybe you're in Ontario, maybe in Alberta. You pay a little less tax because of provincial versus federal tax. But this will still be right across the board federally, 1% to 3%.
And the tax would be payable on the whatever they have after they've paid their income taxes for that tax year.
Correct.
Okay.
Because this is not on income.
Right.
This is on wealth.
Right.
Correct.
But because once you've paid income tax, you're a little less wealthy. Of course, these wealthy people don't pay a whole lot of tax anyway, the buggers.
Because you have to remember, for a lot of people, including like Elon Musk, his salary probably is about $200,000
A day.
a year, right? But his capital gains that he gets through bonuses and stock up and his stocks and whatever else is including in his compensation package is what equates to $1 trillion a year.
Well,
So a lot of people misunderstand. They think maybe a CEO gets, they get $1 million.
well, some of them do get
or
five or
$20
six.
million.
Oh yeah, they get a lot of cash,
in-
but they get capital gains
But-
and bonuses and all
And bonus, most of that money is actually not directly through salary per se, but it's through the compensation package.
But you know what? It ends up in the same bank account.
Well, yes, it does, but the differentiation matters because unexercised stocks cannot be taxed, as an example. So the conversation is a little bit nuanced.
Well, there's no capital gain on a stock increase where you don't realize the capital gain. In other words, if the market goes up on a stock and it goes up and up and up, and you haven't sold it, you haven't made a capital gain yet.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Got it.
So this is it. That's why I said the conversation is nuanced.
Yeah.
And it's important to have.
It's heavy too. I mean, this is a heavy topic for, this is getting into finance stuff.
It's important to have some sort of financial literacy to understand this, or just maybe have taken one semester of economics. I don't know, or have an MBA like Norm.
But you know what? Most people, even if they haven't done all that or taken all that, understand the notion of there are some very, very rich people. They know they don't pay a whole lot of tax, and they need to pay more. You know what? That's kind of a perception out there. Would you say?
Yes and no. There are some. There are a lot of movie stars that are talking out.
Who want to pay more?
Who they are like, we don't mind paying more.
Yeah.
You like to talk about,
But they're liberals.
you like to talk about
They're
what's his name
liberals.
again? Bill Gates. Oh, Bill Gates says he wants to pay his taxes. He wants to pay his fair share. We're gonna talk about that. Don't worry. I know you say it's heavy, but that's why I'm here. I'm here to break it down, Daddy.
Ooh, wow.
I'm here to break it down.
Break it. Break dance.
So, the ultra wealthy people, they can move money, assets, or even themselves to lower tax countries, and that seems to be a lot of the talking points that people say or use as an argument. And you usually find this amongst liberals and conservatives. Yes, I said liberals and conservatives. They'll say you'll raise less money than expected because rich people will move out of your province or it will move out of your state. So the super PACs
Or your country.
or your country or the donations that you'd get to your party, there'll be a lot less and less and less because they have no investment because the ROI isn't necessary because instead of living in the UK, they now live in Malta. Or instead of living in California, they now live in Texas or whatever the case may be. But I mean, the counterpoint is with strong enforcement, exit taxes that we've seen like in Norway or even in the UK.
Exit taxes?
Exit taxes. If you decide to pack up and move,
Okay.
you still have to give.
Leave some money at the door on the way out.
Correct. Kind of like if you were, paying duty while coming into a country with items that
Well, what if you
bought
leave some of your
overseas.
holdings in that country?
Well, that's a whole different situation. If
So,
you're
you
leaving
know-
your holdings in the country, then you technically aren't migrating now, are you?
No. So let's say you got $20 million. You want to pay a little less tax. You're going to go
And
to
again-
Mexico for 5 years. You take 10 million of it and put it in the Mexican National Bank.
This is why the conversation is very nuanced
Yeah.
because that would affect their wealth, but it wouldn't affect their income tax because those are two separate taxes, right? A lot of people also argue that it's hard to value assets. Wealth isn't always cash, which is true. Wealth could be
It shouldn't be cash.
It could be businesses. It could be personal articles like heirloom jewelries, Fabergé eggs, art, land, or
Cash has a very low return on investment.
oh yeah, absolutely does. But it's a steady.
And I'm trying to get my
if you're
broker
an
to put more-
aggressive investor, do not invest in cash. But if you are a moderate to low investor, cash is your go. But don't listen to me because I'm not a financial advisor.
No, you're right. If
I'm
you're
just-
risk averse, you want more of your assets in cash and fixed income. Correct.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to. I'm just out here reading to make myself more
By
financially
the way,
literate.
I will disclose the fact that I'm having a little ongoing tiff with my broker. I want him to increase the amount of cash and fixed income I have in my portfolio right now.
And he's saying no.
He's saying,
It's a bad idea.
yeah, it's 63-37 right now. Equity fixed.
Percentage. Sorry.
Yeah.
You have to
Yes, sorry.
again the kids.
Yeah,
Think
sorry.
about the
60
children.
Yeah, 63% is stocks and is stocks.
Correct.
Equity. The rest is cash and bonds and certificates and stuff that earn interest. That's called fixed income.
Again,
We need to redo our.
I'm speaking as layman as possible, but when you say certain terms, I want you to kind of break it down for the children.
All right.
Right? And for the listeners who may not, they don't live in that kind of world.
And some of the dads that don't know this stuff either.
There's that too.
Yeah.
There's that too. Right? So that may be a lot of their argument about, what is considered as an asset of value. But the counterpoint I would even say to that is we already have ways of valuing assets. Like we have inheritance that we do evaluations of when you get a divorce or even corporate taxes. So yes, while it is complex, it's not impossible, right? Some people may even say that, and you see this argument a lot in Canada and the US, where they say that, well, taxes, it punishes the successful. It punishes you to be success, and it's kind of it lowers people's drives to want to be successful. In an ideal society, this shouldn't matter. But we live in a capitalistic society that encourages people to want more. No matter how much you have, you just want more and more and more and more and more. The other day I was listening to an audiobook.
More and more. Dude, that was a good song in the 90s.
Never heard of it.
Yeah.
By who?
Yeah,
By who?
I'll check.
Okay.
I have it at home.
So I was listening to a book by an author. His name is Scott Galloway. And he released a book recently that's called Lessons in Being a Man, or Notes in Being a Man. I can't remember what it is. I'll put it in the description like I do with all the other links. Really good book, shout out to him. And he was basically saying that now he's a billionaire. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that he doesn't regret what he did to be a billionaire, but looking back, he thought, especially growing up poor, he thought he would never be successful. And so a lot of the moves that he made, he made those moves with the expense of not seeing his kids grow up. He was never there to be with his kids.
So there was a cost to doing what
He
he
lost
did.
his first wife because he was never there. So there was a cost to that success. And he is basically telling young men, be risk aggressive, but remember the things that are important to you.
Mm-hmm. Good advice.
Right?
Values. By the way, I found the song More and More and More.
By?
Captain Hollywood Project.
That is a mouthful.
Yeah. You want to hear it?
Captain Hollywood Project.
Oh, shit. I turned
Why
it
does
on.
that sound like Mortal Kombat?
This was a great club hit in the 90s. Does it sound familiar?
No. Sounds like Mortal Kombat.
It's a daddy song. Now I can't turn it off. I have to add it to my playlist.
Interesting. No, I don't think I've ever heard that song a day in my life. If you're listening
the
and you know this
clubs
song,
The
call
clubs
me
were
out.
so fun in the old days.
Call me out from if there's something that I'm missing. But yeah, so they say they will punish success, but especially a lot of conservatives in North America, they believe that wealth is a reward for taking risks and
They don't want to have it
and
taxed.
for being innovative, and tax it stifles taxing the wealth, the wealthy stifles innovation, and it punishes
Investment, yeah.
people for wanting to have more. But again, the most extreme wealth growth today comes from financial assets and monopolies and inherited wealth, especially if you're coming from old money. It's not coming from garage startups. And even if you have like a garage, because Apple was a garage startup back in the 60s, or so was Microsoft. But again, you can create a garage startup without
What startup?
garage.
Garage startup. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, you can,
like Hewlett Packard. That was started in the garage. Yeah.
Like you can create a garage startup and still not have to worry that if you make over or in excess of $50 million, then a 1% tax is going to be the death of you, on that wealth. But again, I digress. Some people say double taxation is also bad because you're taxing their income, their personal income, and then you're taxing their wealth. Remember what we spoke about earlier, money that you create as an income from your day job or from if your job is like say a CEO, whatever, then that is taxed.
Yeah, it is kind of double taxation.
If you have wealth, then the wealth is taxed separately. But again, counterpoint, capital gains, property appreciation, and inherited wealth are often taxed for far less than labor. And for me, one of the things that I think about quite often is that we don't see these things being evaluated until they're sold. So if it's not something that you're living off, so let's say you're an heiress,
Yeah.
as an example,
You've got $20 million in the bank.
and you don't work. Your job is literally just to be a princess and you live off your inheritance. Then only your inheritance will be taxed. If you're not somebody who's living off both and you're only living off your income, then only your income would be taxed. So
How would you enforce all that, though? I mean, can you see the
same way in which they enforce the CRA and the NIA enforces taxation in the US and Canada. Same exact way.
But remember, wealth itself generates income,
Yes.
dividends, interest.
But if income is not revenue.
Well, it's revenue to me. Yeah,
It's only revenue if you withdraw it.
no. If you've got a fixed, let's say you've got a CD, there's interest that's paid every year. When that's paid, that becomes income. That's subject to tax.
You have to break down what CD is.
Certificate of deposit. A guarantee. When you go to a bank and say, I want what were those things? Government savings bonds. You buy a bond for $1,000, we'll pay you 13% interest in 1 year.
You talking about a treasury?
Yeah, treasury bill.
Okay.
Same thing. I don't know what they CD. It's a CD with certificate of deposit. That's what the banks call
Okay.
it. So, anyway.
But it's not. It's handled differently.
Well, anyway.
It's handled completely differently.
Let me ask you a question. Do you support the concept of a wealth tax?
So we're going to get to that. Because the short answer is yes.
Yeah.
I do support the concept of wealth tax, and I'm going to explain why. So people think that the common person will suffer, like the Fox host who keeps pointing and saying, you will suffer. And this is a fear tactic. Let's just start there. It really is a fear tactic because they keep saying, they'll lower the threshold later. Your house will be taxed next, or pensions and savings will be taxed next. And all these arguments are invalid because there's never been a wealth tax bill that has been proposed whether not in a country that it has been done or a country that it is proposed where they ever said that pensions or savings would ever be touched. And even if you're somebody who is wealthy, your pensions or your savings would not be touched, right? But on the more, serious proposals, primary residence up to higher limits and, pensions and registered savings, and even, we talk about like CDs, unless you're in the top 0.1 to 1%, this really does not affect you. Because the average person, even if they're investing in treasuries, is not putting $2 billion into treasuries.
No way.
And again, these are much longer term bonds. They go on for, I think, 4 years?
Well, anybody that's truly wealthy has
Right.
invested in stocks and companies and things with higher risk and higher return.
Correct.
Yeah.
And usually they're government treasuries. Now, the real reason conservatives or like crown companies, etc. Now, the real reason why a lot of conservatives and liberals, they don't want to have a wealth tax. This is the quiet part out loud. A wealth tax reduces concentration. And when I say it reduces wealth concentration, I mean that this is not trickle-down economics. This is not Reaganomics, where if the wealth are wealthy, then the money will trickle down. This is meaning that the money that is distributed from the top, it's given back to the people in the form of social services, right? So it also weakens dynastic wealth. So unless you're like real wealth dynasty, like dynasty, people who have hundreds of years of trust, inheritance, like a JP Morgan, again, this is not going to affect you. And it shifts power away from capital towards public systems. Like, again, infrastructure, something that is not sexy, not oftentimes talked about, but is super important for us to have. And I'm not just talking about...
So you're saying that a wealth tax would provide money for the government to build infrastructure.
Correct.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
If the government chose to use it that way.
But if the government chose to use it that way, which is what the proposal does say that it wants to do. But here's the thing. A lot of people will say that
they could reduce debt with it.
or a lot of conservatives are opposed to this because a lot of the people that they get their PACs from or their funding from, think of the NRA, think of big oil. They don't want this to happen because if this has happened, if there's high-speed rail, if there's more investment in sustainable energy, it means that there is a hit from their revenue, from not a B2B standpoint, but a customer to business standpoint. But the honest truth, and this is not any propaganda, a poorly designed wealth tax.
A what wealth tax?
A poorly designed wealth tax can be detrimental. Don't get me wrong. And a well-designed one can narrow the wealth gap between the ultra-rich and the middle class. And the gap between the middle class and the poor, right? But the common man suffering argument that you see a lot of people saying on the Fox News, you see a lot of people saying online, this is not math, this is just political messaging because this is nothing to do with economics. It will not hurt you as an individual. So what would a wealth tax in Canada look like? And like I mentioned earlier, we can look to the UK as a litmus test. Now, before, in the earlier part of last year, a lot of people, when this was introduced, since the exit of non-dom, a non-dom just means...
Who's non-dom?
Non-dom? Okay, so I'll explain what non-dom is. So non-dom is non-domicile. meaning that is domicile, meaning that it's your permanent home or the place of your residence. It refers to a person's tax status and has nothing to do with their nationality, citizenship, or resident status. Although it can be affected by those factors, but a non-dom only pays tax on the money they earn in the country. They do not have to pay tax to the UK government, as an example, on money that is made otherwise in the world. So let's say that they live in the UK, but they work for a US company, or their companies are offshore. For wealthy individuals, this presents an opportunity for significant and entirely legal savings if they notate a lower tax country as their domicile. One of the most well-known non-doms was the former Prime Minister of the UK, Rishi Sunak, and his wife, who we now know he had stepped down, and he and his wife now primarily live in California, though they might want to rethink that. So, the reason I say they want to rethink that, if you don't know, part of the reason why it's been trending is a very popular name you may have heard of a lot, Gavin Newsom.
Current governor of California.
The current governor of California. Now,
And possibly a standard bearer for the Democratic Party in the next presidential election.
he and his colleague, Rob Bonta, who is the Attorney General of California, he basically says that I don't see a problem with a wealth tax. We have over $3.1 trillion of the world's wealthiest the wealthiest people, including the wealthiest people in America living here. This is not a problem. And the proposal of the wealth tax for California is a one-time wealth tax. One time. It will never be an annual thing like the proposition of the NDP here in Canada.
The income tax in 1917 wasn't supposed to be permanent either.
Again, a lot of people have the argument, but here we are. And again, nothing is enshrined. But here's the thing.
What did the NDP say?
The NDP wants to be an annual thing, versus in California, they want to be a one-time thing. Now, I have been noticing, people can have different arguments. They can say what they want to say. But again, much like I said to the counter arguments before, this does not affect the average person, the everyday man and woman. Now, people have been saying on the far right in the US that Gavin Newsom wants to introduce 1% tax. And the truth is, Gavin Newsom has a lot more in common with Justin Trudeau, as an example, because while he may fight for social justice, Gavin Newsom
is rich.
He's stifled the wealth tax in its sleep, in its cradle, multiple times. He is against a wealth tax. He is a part of that 1%, and he does.
Gavin Newsom is against a wealth tax?
He is against the wealth tax.
Oh, I thought you were driving to the point that he's proposed a
No. He is very much against it. Hell, yeah. Trudeau himself has shut down a wealth tax proposition by the NDP.
Well, let's face it. It's an interesting concept, but it's never going to happen.
Well, I don't think so, because it has happened in the UK. It has happened in Norway, in Finland.
Well, but those are,
and even in Singapore. So it is possible. And like I said, I usually think of the UK as a litmus test for us because we do have a very similar parliamentary system.
Yeah, but I don't think we can do it in this country if the Americans don't.
Why not?
We'll see a flight of capital.
We'll
see a huge flight of capital, quite simply.
So, you know what?
At least that will be the argument against it. Would you agree?
I do agree that would be the argument against it. And, there's been a lot of conversation about brain drain and the drain of wealth. People talked about that a lot last year in the beginning of the year when this was instituted, because this only recently happened in Britain in 2025.
Oh, well.
Now,
so it's still pretty early to determine the actual
early days,
impact of it.
But a lot of people were saying that it's going to lead to a lot of wealth drain. But the data, as of today, when I was researching this back in December, the data that showed back as early as December has shown that it was blown out of proportion. There actually have been less than a handful of multi-billionaires that has left the UK. Most billionaires actually have decided to stay and keep their, because the whole point of the non-dom status is to encourage these people to bring their assets back into the UK, not take it offshore. So again, like you said, early days, we'll have to see what this looks like within the next 4 years, because what they do is that they have a grace period in which they give people. The grace period is if you have moved to the UK after April of 2025, you have 2 years in which you get to not pay any taxes on your wealth. If you have been in the UK before April of 2025, you have 5 years to decide how you are going to divest, if you're going to leave or if you're going to stay. Now, reportedly, only 2 notable multi-billionaires have left the UK. One went to Monaco and the other one went to Dubai.
Well, hold on. If you've got 5 years to decide if you're going to leave, that means you can wait till year 4.5 and say, oh, I'm going to stay here and not have to pay any tax for those 5 years?
Norm, you seem to miss the point. This is not people who would just sit down and have money. These are people who have businesses. You don't just pack up a business and leave in 4 years. It's not that easy.
Well, they might move some of those businesses though, right?
Yes, but again, to start, let's look at the example of Trump saying that he's going to bring manufacturing back to the US. Impossible. It is impossible it takes literally 10 years just to build a manufacturing plant, let alone to get it tested, to get it certified, and to get it inspected. We're talking about just the building process. And with all the tariffs that he's putting on material for building, it's not going to make it any easier for them to bring in the material that's necessary to build for manufacturing. Yeah, okay. So it's not easy for someone to just take up a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Most of these corporations have campuses, not buildings, compounds.
What's the 5 years period then for? What is that grace period for?
So that grace period, technically it's 4 years now, but that grace period would be for people who are existing billionaires that live in the UK and what they want to do with their wealth.
And if they decide to... Okay, so they could start moving it out during that period if they wanted to.
Correct, if they wanted to.
And so whatever's left at the end of 5 years, that is
what will be taxed.
Okay, so then, and effectively, then nothing is being taxed until that 5-year point.
Correct. So this is expected to bring in at least 2.7 billion pounds. Billion with a B, pounds per year.
After year 5.
By 2029. And the thing that I will say about this is, like, again, it's not as easy as you may think to just pick up a business and just leave a country.
Of course not. No, I'm not.
And the data has shown that a lot of people have not made moves. They have not made moves. They haven't been doing anything. And again, it's most of the rhetoric is blown out of proportion. But like I said, it's important to keep an eye on this, because this is something that will be used as a litmus test or a case study for our society.
Right. Oh, for sure.
Right? We've even seen people in the U.S. talk about the same thing from California, and this is where
let me ask a question. Was it a Labour government in the UK that introduced this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it was.
And is it possible that a Conservative government coming in or another government could squelch it too, I guess, couldn't they?
They could, but I highly doubt they would.
Well, when they get used to the money coming in, they might not want to.
We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
But, before, one thing I want to drive home about this point is the same thing has been argued in the US. We've already seen Larry Page, he's the Google co-founder. We've seen Elon Musk, and we've even seen David Sachs and Peter Thiel, the co-founder of Palantir, move his business to Texas and Florida, respectively. And my thing is...
that's because of state taxes, though.
Correct. Remember, this is for California.
Okay, this would be a state wealth tax. Okay,
It's a
got it.
state wealth
Okay,
tax.
got it.
Now, again, and we have to understand, again, this is why I say we're using the
But people,
UK as a litmus test because we have a closer parliamentary system to them than we do to a federal system in the US where they, with their branches of
fair
government.
enough. But I would argue that there are a lot of businesses thinking of moving from California to Texas or Georgia for a lot of other reasons, namely lower cost of living, cheaper labor, lower state taxes.
For now, what are we seeing happening in a lot of those areas? They don't have the energy to power these. They don't have the energy to power a SpaceX, which is moved out to Texas. And what ends up happening is that it drives up the cost of living for the locals who live there. Hell,
And
remember what
energy.
happened last year when their grid went down and people literally froze to death in Texas. Froze to death in Texas, of all places. So you're going to see them start getting driven out. And already we are seeing with Jasmine Crockett running for Senate, we're already seeing that Texas, and in some places like Arizona, even some places that have never been blue in a very long time, are changing over from a red to a blue. You're seeing it happen in real time. I think there's a possibility that they may have made a move prematurely because you're going to see these. You always say it all the time. The most important thing to people is their pockets.
Well, when they're voting, I'd say that. Yeah.
Pocketbook issues.
Yeah.
This is going to drive them out. So I think it may be a premature move, and that's why you're seeing people like Mark Zuckerberg and Jensen Huang. He's the CEO of NVIDIA, the chip making company. He has said, "I'm perfectly fine with a wealth tax." Mark Zuckerberg, arguably next to Jeff Bezos is richer than God, has said, well, "Okay, sure." Mm-hmm. He's not going to pack
He's
up.
not moving anywhere.
He's
no.
not packing up meta campuses and moving it anywhere.
No.
So I think at the end of the day, a lot of this is blown out of proportion. And I think it's important for people to remember that in this wealth tax debate, the bottom line is that a lot of the things that have come out of proper distribution of wealth and a healthy dose of socialism or social service distribution to the people of the country has benefit everyone, whether that is universal healthcare, dental care, making social programs that are accessible to everyone, whether that's reducing the...
Fair enough. I think one thing we could say
You
about
didn't
a
even
wealth
let me
tax-
finish my list.
I think I know the list. Carry on then. I'll
No,
please let me hold
that's
my
okay. That's okay. But here's the thing. A lot of people keep forgetting that all of these changes, especially in Canada, typically only happened when there was a minority government formed with the NDP.
well-
Now, I myself personally, I've never voted NDP, and I don't know if I will because I have problems with their leadership. Great vision.
I did once back about 40 years ago, 50 years ago.
Great vision, but poor leadership. Again, great vision, but poor leadership. But we have to also remember that all the things that have been beneficial to the common man, I'm not talking about the wealthy, or the rich. I'm talking about the common man, the middle class and the poor. All things that have been beneficial have been because of policies and pushes and bills that have been proposed by either the Green Party or the NDP. And that's why I want to kind of drive this point before I end my deep dive today to say that if you're going to vote, always remember there's nothing wrong with spoiling your ballot. Vote for what you care about at your local level and at your provincial level and not based on who you think is going to win. I really do not want to see our country turn into a two-party system.
Well, I'll just comment on the wealth tax thing that we were talking about, and that is that most rich people are reasonable. The Zuckerbergs, the Bateses, the others, basically saying, I don't mind paying a little bit more tax.
Well,
And that is a great sign. Let's hope that more of them think that way, whether that actually translates into money. Because let's face it,
Mm-hmm.
the U.S. is broke. They're not raising enough money. They're in debt.
Mm-hmm.
We're not a whole lot better, but we're not quite as bad off. And you know what? Let's watch what happens in the UK.
Well, it's funny you should say that because people like Lara Page has put $75 million into funding, into lobbying funding to make sure that the wealth tax gets smothered in its sleep in California. $75 million.
So he's not one of the ones that says, I'm willing to pay, obviously.
Yes, he's the one that moved to Florida like a couple months ago.
Yeah.
Now, when we look, or mid last year, in anticipation that this is going to happen. Now, when we look at people like Warren Buffett, we look at people like Bill Gates, we look at people even like Mark Zuckerberg, where's the money put forward to lobby for this bill to pass? If you can keep saying that you're okay with paying your fair share, or you can keep saying, oh, I'm against the NRA and gun, and I want to see gun reform, but you don't. But while the NRA and people who want to see this happen because they've staken it, whether that's in minerals, in metal, in the gun sales itself, or the distribution, they are putting billions with a B up in lobbying to make sure these bills never get passed. So you keep saying, I don't mind seeing this happening, but why aren't you putting your money where your mouth is?
Don't know. Have to ask them.
And that is the question of the day. It is the question of the day.
I guess they, in principle, don't mind, but they're not going to work too hard to make it happen either.
That's pretty much what I'm getting from it. And I want society to remember when they're talking about wealth tax and you see them debating about it on the television, especially on the news or like news correspondents, or you see opinion pieces, just remember this is not about you. This is for you.
That's why philanthropy is a great thing.
I don't believe in philanthropy is okay, but I don't believe
But
that
it's voluntary.
I don't believe that philanthropy should be the be and be all in a Western society, and here's the reason why. Philanthropy is great, but the issue with philanthropy is it gives the 1% more leverage than they already have now. It gives them the ability to say, I can choose where my money goes. Not you, the politician, not you, the people who vote. Me, I get to determine where my money can go, and I can determine.
And that's wrong?
Oh, it absolutely is.
Ooh, boy, that's...
It absolutely is.
You won't find a lot of voting people who support that.
No,
idea.
it absolutely is, because here's the thing.
That means you can't spend your money traveling because you...
No, that's a whole different thing. I'm not talking of... if you're a philanthropist, you're giving away money so that you can get tax cuts. So there's a benefit to it for you. There is a benefit to being a philanthropist.
But there's also a benefit to society.
But there's
as
a
well.
benefit to society, but to what end? If a philanthropist comes in and he says, I am going to donate... like the Dells. Let's take the Dells, for example. I'm going to be a philanthropist. I'm going to get a tax cut, and I'm going to donate $6 billion to the Trump kids fund. The kids start the Trump coins or Trump accounts for the kids, right? That's all well and fine, but $6 million distributed towards all the children across North America, according to what Fortune magazine is saying, is that this will only be in excess of about $700 per child. per child.
Which is better than zero.
But that's besides the point. This money is not going to be accessible until someone. Hold on, Norm. This money is not going to be accessible to someone until they're 18. But you and I both know. Well, maybe you don't know. But in case you didn't know, it takes more than $700 to raise a child. In fact, daycare is about $1,000 a week.
Well, I'm talking about philanthropy in principle.
But
philanthropy is a good thing.
I'd
love more rich people to
I
give
did
more
not
of their
say
money
that
away.
is not the debate. Philanthropy is not a bad thing. I just say that philanthropy should not be the replacement of a wealth tax.
It never
or
would.
the wealthy paying their
why?
fair share of taxes.
It wouldn't because it
but it
wouldn't-
already is.
Well, it wouldn't raise as much money as a wealth tax would. That's what I didn't say. I mean, I bet you if you had a wealth tax, you could get way, way more money pulled in.
I would actually prefer.
I'd love to see more philanthropy money come out because I don't think we're ever going to see a wealth tax in this
And
country.
plus, philanthropy money encourages rich people to get involved into policy.
But they are there now. As you said earlier, they run the country anyway.
They're running the country, but they shouldn't be.
Well,
The voters should be the ones running the country.
I'm not sure we're going to see that in the near future.
They are the 1% or the 0.1% to 1%. They shouldn't be running the country. It should be the voters running the country. And that is why I believe that while there is merit to philanthropy and it is useful, there has to be some sort of stopgap on philanthropy because at the end of the day, it does not replace social services.
Well, I would vehemently disagree with the statement that there should be a stopgap on philanthropy. I think we should have more philanthropy because I think it would do more good. I just don't see any downside to having more of it. And on that, we have had a very good discussion of what I would describe as a fairly leftist-oriented view of the world tonight. Would you?
I don't know if it's leftist. I think it's actually very center.
Okay, well,
I would say it's very center, and this is maybe a daddy and son, a generational gap thing, but I don't think wealthy people paying 1% to 3% of tax on their wealth is radical.
I don't think 1% is.
If you make $1 trillion a year and you're paying 1% on $1 trillion in taxes, I don't think that's radical.
Well, I don't think it's radical. I'm just not sure it'll ever happen.
I don't even think it's leftist. I really do think it's very centrist.
I want to see what happens with the UK experience. I think that's really...
Like I said, there will be the litmus test for what happens out here.
Well, it will advise what we do. Whether it actually does anything or not, I don't know.
And this is a part of the reason why I'm really disappointed in our government. I don't think we make the right moves. I've said this before. I said this last week when I spoke about the advancements that China has been making in renewables and how that has advanced their country and the cost of living and how that has trickled down. But I genuinely do not think as a society, I genuinely think we are starting to slip into being a third world country more than we realize.
Well, we're struggling a lot, that's for sure.
And so
would you agree?
When I talk, absolutely.
Yeah.
In retrospect, that's exactly what I'm saying. And when I think about us as a country, for where we are and who we are, we should be a far, far ways ahead. There's no reason why countries like countries in the UAE and China and even parts of Russia should be ahead of us, both technologically and even when it comes on to military and even when it comes on to financial and economy. It shouldn't be as ahead than we are as a country because we do have the resources, we do have the assets, we do have the people, and we have the population. We just need to invest in them. And that's why people keep saying, oh, we're overpopulated. We are underpopulated. The issue is not population. The issue is investment in our people and infrastructure. And that's going to be my closing argument. Any closing words you'd like to say?
I think you should run for office. You are politically charged by this.
Well, I don't know about that.
I think it's a great topic to talk about. I'm not sure it's ever going to happen. But I really, truly wish we had a more just society.
You know what? I think it's going to happen, but I hate to say it. I don't think you're going to live to see it.
Well, it may be. I don't have any control over that.
Only God, He knows.
Well, exactly.
Only God, He knows. In any case, Daddy, hold my hands. That's not me wishing death upon you.
Oh, thank you. I never took it that way.
Let me just throw that out there. God.
There are a lot of things that are going to happen that I'm never going to live to see.
Flying cars, high-speed railway, the LRT opening.
Yeah. High-speed rail between Toronto and Montreal.
The Eglinton line fully opening.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things you probably won't live to see. Me too. But, the Ontario line, you name it. But this is Toronto. This is Canada, ladies and gentlemen. The bureaucracy, it never ends. As Lewis would always say, there's benefits to communism, but I digress. Thank you, everyone, for listening to today's episode. If you've made it all the way to the end, follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Daddy and Son Podcast. That is at symbol Daddy and Son Podcast. So make sure you put all of that in when you search on YouTube. Remember, we are also available on the iHeartRadio app, so go download the free app and support the show over there. And if you have any questions for the show, send them over to daddyandsonpodcast@gmail.com. That is daddyandsonpodcast@gmail.com. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, give us 5 stars wherever you listen to this podcast, whether that's YouTube, iHeart, Apple, Spotify. Leave comments.
Yes, we want to hear from you.
Send in your questions. Don't just text them to me or leave them on or send them to me on Discord in my DMs or in Instagram. Please send them to the inbox.
Yeah.
And until next time.
Because otherwise, Daddy doesn't see them. Sorry about that.
No, that's true. Or else Daddy doesn't see them. We want Daddy to see them. Make Daddy feel involved. So, until next time, sons, be good to your daddies.
And daddies, be kind to your sons.